Hello everyone. I want to read a very important quote today that really ties into the harmonic self and these tea and overtone sessions that we're having here. It's by someone called Carlo Petrini, who was the founder of the slow food movement. He said, "It is useless to force the rhythms of life. If I live with the anxiety to go fast, I will not live well. My addiction to speed will make me sick. The art of living is about learning how to give time to each and everything. If I have sacrificed my life to speed, then that is impossible. Ultimately, slow means to take the time to reflect. It means to take the time to think. With calm, you arrive everywhere." I love that last line. I love many lines that I just read you. With calm, you arrive everywhere. Well, you've seen me in these tea moments, tea and overtones, kind of make a complete hash of things, really, many times where I've just dropped things and panicked and done all of those things. Far from the calm and the pause and all the beautiful things we've been talking about here. But it's kind of, we all lose our center at some point, and the important thing is to get the center back. Or bring our awareness back to the center. The center doesn't leave us, we leave the center. So the idea is get up one more time than you fall down, or certainly applies to me. Samurai says 7 times down, 8 times up. This idea of getting up one more time than we fall down is something very central to what JR has taught us, John Roger, my spiritual teacher. It's so important, and it's good to keep in mind, because it's easy to berate ourselves and judge ourselves for mistakes or errors or losing it. We just get up one more time. We come back to calm. With calm, we arrive everywhere. Today's tea is a new tea, if you can believe that. We've done green tea, or we started with black tea, we went to green tea. We did an oolong tea, then we did a pu'er tea, and then we did a matcha tea, and now today we're doing a white tea. Now what's extraordinary about all of this is it's all from the same tea bush or tea tree, Camellia sinensis. If it's not Camellia sinensis, it's not tea in the true sense of the word. It's just like they say these days that oat milk is not really milk. Milk comes from a cow. So in a similar way, tea comes from the Camellia sinensis. So that's why you see people talk about herbal teas. They now call them herbal infusions. It's not really a tea as such. So it all comes from the same bush. So what makes the difference is oxidation and, of course, preparation. Some are steamed, some are dried. They're pretty much all dried, but the process and the step that takes within the cultivation or the preparation of it. So in this particular case with white tea, there's very little oxidation, which means very little exposure to oxygen. And so the buds are taken early in the spring, and they're immediately dried rather than left out to be exposed. So what it gives is a very light tea. It's a beautifully light tea. And the one we have today is called silver needle tea. The leaves are always fascinating to me, the aroma. I wanted to just complete something from the talk we did about oolong tea, our little tea time there. I continue to steep it. And what a pleasure it is to see the leaves unfurl. I don't know if you remember how small the leaves were. Well, this is what they unfurl into gradually. The oolong tea takes several steepings, and that's one of the pleasures of the oolong itself. It's able to take that. Sometimes even 10 steepings is not unusual. And so you get a lot of value, so to speak, from the tea. And you can see that there's just a multitude of beautiful leaves And this is a particular pleasure of mine to watch them unfurl and just almost just whole. So extraordinary completion there to the oolong experience. Again, this is a sign of a high quality tea when you get the leaves like that. So today's is silver needle, and again, the leaves here are very kind of interesting. You can kind of see, I've just taken them out of the packet. This was not a gift, this was a tea that I bought, and I particularly like this. The tea is from Silk Road Teas, so I know it's a very reliable tea. They're very, 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 very fussy about the teas, and they go to China personally and select. And this one is called a silver needle, as I've mentioned, because it has like white, fine white hairs around it from the buds, and the buds are plucked whole, and the very the fineness of the hairs gives it a silver quality. So that's the fineness of this tea. I've measured it out, and now we're going to brew it. Always we've talked about these implements, such an important part of the pleasure of tea. Look at this. Isn't this a beautiful, well, from my perspective, a beautiful shape? There's a smooth whiteness. Again, I got this in Los Angeles. One doesn't have to spend a lot of money. It's just a question of looking around a little bit and finding places that you like and things that give you pleasure. And this has got this beautiful smooth quality, a lovely white finish, and a nice feeling. And each time I drink out of this, I get so much pleasure. White is, advantage of the white is that you can see the color of the tea. And as we've mentioned before, I think the color is so important. The aroma, of course, is really vital, but also the color. The steeping time here is just a couple of minutes, so we'll do that, but let's just get the tea in here. Again, everything should be a pleasure. I love this flask, I love the feel of it, I love the teapot, I love this beautiful cup and all the implements, because I want to be as relaxed as possible as I just let all of this brew and come to the right flavor. I've got about 4 grams of tea. It's about 8 ounces of water. We're going to let it steep for a couple of minutes. There's a small metal filter in the spout. I don't know if you can see it a little bit here in the spout, and that's why I don't need to filter it. Although if there wasn't a filter here, I would just have a tea strainer. There's no harm in that. And as you can see, it's pretty light. The color, it's not this deep amber that we saw with some of the other teas that we've been working with. And we want to stir it around a little bit. I'll just kind of want to make sure that all of it is steeping and going. I do have a wooden spoon that I normally do this with, but I didn't bring it with me today. So just make sure that the teas float around. Now, what's interesting as we wait for the tea leaves to settle, I want to read you a quote from Lao Tzu. He says, "Who can wait quietly while the mud settles? Who can remain still until the moment of action?" I'm waiting for the tea leaves to settle. And so they can just take their time. And what makes a good cup of tea? The quality of the tea leaves is essential. But even the highest quality tea can be ruined by the wrong water, the wrong temperature, too long a steeping time, the water being too hot, or the water being too cold. All of those factors really kind of impact, I think that's the word I'm looking for, impact the quality of what we want. So that's, again, very, very light color, and we'll just pour that out. The longer I wait, the more flavor will come out. But if I kind of just have a nice steeping time like we just had, I'll know I'll get another 2 or 3 wonderful steepings out of this and really get a pleasure from each and every cup. So again, let's just go back to Carlo Petrini's quote here. It's useless to force the rhythms of life. So key to what we do in the harmonic self. We're not forcing the rhythms. We're just kind of entering into our own personal rhythm and not giving over our rhythm to somebody else. If I live with the anxiety to go fast, I will not live well. My addiction to speed will make me sick. But I think there's another quality here that as we're in our homes at this time, we can almost be too slow. So it's finding the rhythm that's right for us to be in our own rhythm, but again, not being anxious. The art of living, back to the quote, is about learning how to give time to each and everything. Ultimately, slow means to take the time to reflect. With calm, you arrive everywhere. So we want to take that moment where we can enjoy our tea with calm. That is really excellent. I have to say I brewed that perfectly because it was the right time, it was the right amount. I was guessing a little bit. I haven't got a timer here. Sometimes I have a timer for the exact amount, but it was just like more getting the feel of the tea itself and what it's going to yield. And this takes a little bit of practice, and that's why the art of tea really never ceases to be a learning experience. Excellent. It's hot, so I'm just taking a few sips, but enough to get the flavor and the aroma and to know that as it cools down just a little bit, it's just going to be absolutely superb. I hope you're getting the beauty of tea, and you don't have to go to really a lot of expense, but it is nice to get the quality and then take the time over it. If you're just going to drink a cup of tea, slosh it down, it doesn't really matter. You can just get any tea bags, whatever, and go for it. But that's not what we're doing here. We want to create that moment of beauty, of rest, of calm, and of lightness. You've seen me making jokes and having fun because it shouldn't be too serious. We want our life to have this musical quality. We're musical beings. And how can the music come out of us? So perhaps we'll explore that in our next tea and overtones. But for now, just relax, enjoy. Hopefully you've got your own tea set out. You're joining me for this cup of tea, and we can enjoy it together so that when this ends, you'll continue to be relaxed and enjoying in your center. And as Lao Tzu says, who can wait quietly while the mud settles? Who can remain still until the moment of action? So that after we've had our tea, after we've had that moment of rest and stillness, we'll know exactly what we need to do, but we'll do it calmly. Thank you. Cheers and cheerio.